like, I really love that jacket you're wearing. And she was like, you can have it. And she just threw it, and I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I got it at a flea market in Paris. You can have it. I didn't mean to take your shirt off your back, but it's good to know that you'll give it to me. People are not asking me that enough. And it's just like, as if I just ran screaming towards it, like, this will be so great. I mean, what I really thought was, you are out of your mind. This is a performance that won an Academy Award for a great actress, and the movie is so cherished and beloved, and people hated her. And why would you want to do this? You're just setting yourself up for worldwide humiliation. So I thought, well, why don't I do that? But it's kind of true. I thought, well, nothing could scare me more than this, and I should probably do it so that I can be a person who says, I showed up and did it because it was a wonderful opportunity, and I let the chips fall where they may.
I think that Sarah was nervous about it, but I just think it's a brilliant idea. I mean, it's a great movie. Obviously, it's a great performance, great character, but a deeply misogynistic film and idea of who that woman is. So to roll back the clock and to say, we think of this person as a monster. Is she a monster? And if so, how did she become a monster? What happened to her?
Well, I sort of felt like it wouldn't be very interesting if basically we went back, 2 decades in Mildred Ratchett's life, and she was exactly the same as she is in the movie. I thought, well, that's boring, and who wants to see that? We would like to, I think it's very, very interesting watching someone become something, watching someone meet themselves. And I think in the first installment, the first 8 episodes, we learn a lot about Mildred, and we certainly learn about her very horrific childhood that I think informs some of her behavior and her choices that I felt a lot of empathy for, and not sanctioning her behavior, but understanding some of what she did and why. I could get behind that. I could.
I think it's a brilliant and fascinating idea, and especially to set it in this moment right after World War II, when so many women had been given opportunity to have so many exciting, fulfilling jobs, and then as soon as the soldiers came back home, all of that power that they had amassed and opportunity was just snatched from them.
I have to say, some days we had more fun behind the scenes. I don't think I've ever had quite as much fun with people on set. I mean, but of course, I don't get to work with a bunch of women or a bunch of girls usually. I spent my whole career, me and 300 guys, me and a big male lead, me in an action, me in, some environment with 5 tough guys. So this, to go to work and just, when your break is you're sitting with 3, 4, 5 women, this is fantastic, because you talk about things that exist in the female world. And I've never had that, like, ever.
Sarah and I are old friends, so that was great, but intimidating to be around you. Say Judy Davis, like one of the greatest living actresses that there is. But amazing also to, I don't know, like Sharon. Unfortunately, I was never in any scenes with her, but still it was fun to hang out in the hair and makeup trailer and watch everybody's transformation into the period and into the characters.
The Sharon stuff in particular, I mean, she's just so glamorous as a person, but she's the kind of person, and this really did happen on one of our press days. I was like, I really love that jacket you're wearing. And she was like, you can have it. And she just threw it, and I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I got it at a flea market in Paris. You can have it. And I was just like, I can have it? Oh, I didn't mean to take your shirt off your back, but it's good to know that you'll give it to me. I mean, she's obviously a wonderful activist and advocate, and just a wonderful mother, and just a great friend. She's an all-around excellent person, and she gives great advice, and she wears magical clothes, and she's just the most glamorous. Sharon can show up like with wet hair and her blue tinted sunglasses and some whatever she's got on, and it's just like, I've never seen anybody more glamorous. Sharon Stone at 7 a.m. is more glamorous than I'll ever be, like in a red carpet on a So that was really fun. And it was sort of an iconic, it was for me sitting there, it was across the board, Cynthia, but I knew Cynthia from New York. So we've known each other for 10 or 15 years. So it was exciting for me to get to act with her, which I hadn't been able to do, but I've had dinner with her enough that it was like, oh yeah, you're great. But the Sharon and the Judy and the Sophie, it was just, and Amanda Plummer, who I did a play with a long time ago, who I also love. It was just everywhere you turned, it was just like bumping into a genius every 5 minutes. It was really something. It's very special. I don't know that it was planned, but I think, because when Cynthia came on to the show, I think only 2 episodes had been written. So the whole story between Gwendolyn and Mildred had not yet formed fully in the writer's room. But I think once it became clear that that's what it was going to be, I think Ryan and I did have a conversation about just the power of that knowledge for people watching the show, particularly those who are queer themselves, who watch it and they see real representation and not, 2 straight actors sort of simulating some story that they may not really have any knowledge about. Even though I believe that if you've ever loved anyone, you know what it is to love someone, regardless of it being, it doesn't change the quality of the love just because it's 2 men or 2 women. It's just, it's the same. But I do understand the power of that in terms of representation, and I think it's important, and I was very, very proud in a way to feel part of that duo.
I mean, it makes you realize how rare it is, but Ryan Murphy is the exact perfect person, I think, to make sure it was happening and make sure the people that were playing the lesbians actually knew what that meant. There's so many characters, and when we think of the movies of the 40s and the 50s, of course there are no real queer characters in those films, or almost none, and if so, they're either villainous or just comic relief. And the same is true of characters of color, and I think it's one of the smartest things that Ryan Murphy does is he goes back and, in the language of those films and those periods, retells the story with our characters placed back inside. I think we're going in the right direction. I think we have a long way to go, certainly also in terms of people of color. It's just barely starting to change. But I think the thing that's really important is not just to have marginalized people in front of the camera, but behind the camera and writing the stories, because that's really, you can hire people and put them in stories that have nothing to do with their own communities, but it's really, you need people from those communities creating those stories and creating those characters.
Well, there's a lot of celebration around a lot of shows and story, from everything from Killing Eve to Schitt's Creek to, it's I get the sense more and more that people are interested in seeing good stories that strike them as true and real in terms of the dynamics going on between the characters. And more, I hope the country and the world is sort of shedding some of those historical beliefs that people hold about the wrongness of it. And it's just starting to become something that people, a love story. And they're not, thinking about it from a gender perspective, but, who knows?
The beauty of filmmaking is it looks so terrifying on the screen, but when you're in person, of course, it's not scary at all. I think particularly, there was a scene of something that happens to someone who is, boiled.
It's sort of funny when some makeup artist is like putting some blood on someone. It just sort of loses its potency in terms of going that looks like a giant blood pool, and it's actually just a piece of plastic that they put down that looks like oozy blood. And there's all kinds of weird things that you're just thinking you don't want to slip on it, or it's sugar syrup, and and after all the years on American Horror Story, I don't think there's anything in the gore department that could actually freak me out when I'm on a set. When I watch it, I feel all the things that everyone feels, but when I'm there, I'm like, ooh, that's it's like grape jelly. It's it loses its magic.
Well, I wanted to work with Ryan, but then he got this amazing lineup of actors and actresses, and it's kind of, a dream come true. I was thinking about it because yesterday someone asked if you could put together any TV show from the past, what would you put together? And at the end of the day, I thought, really the one to put together would be Playhouse 90, where they used to bring all these actors together and then put on these sort of plays, but really great plays on television. And he does that. He brings all these troops of actors together, and he keeps people from the troops to keep pulling together through this show and that show. And he really does understand how to create groups of people who are serious about their craft. And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to do. It's a beautiful way to do it. And he has enough shows going that he can do it.
Being invited into the Ryan Murphy universe was very, very exciting. Also a chance to work with my friend Sarah Paulson and to play this really fascinating character that's not like anything I've ever played. And especially also to, Ryan has such big casts and he fills them with the most fascinating, unexpected, spectacular actors. So for me, getting to work with Sophie Okonedo and Amanda Plummer and Sharon Stone and Judy Davis most especially was a once-in-a-lifetime thing.